خنده مستانه ای زین تلخی نام شراب، اشک دل فریاد مستانه به نامش برکنه. یاد بادا یاد بادا یاد بادا ساقیا آن روی من چو آن نگاه احمد در احمق مشهور را. خنده بی مثل او بر دل دکانی هم زده، پنهان کرده در دل و مغز و روانم تو را. جستش همچو پری زیبا خرامان دلبرک، چشمکش مانند پتکی قلب عاشقاتک، لب نشان روی مهرویان همی دارد به رخ، گیسوان چون کمندش فاصله عاشق درک.
Good evening, everybody.
دیدمش من روز اول
Good evening, everybody. Oh, my dog's going to come and join us. No, he's not. Hi, Judy. Where are you going? Where are you going, Luna? Come and say hello, but don't knock my light down. You can't see him because he's black against my black. There you go. Look, there's his face. He came to say hello. Hey. Now he's going to disappear off because he knows that I read and he likes to be away and on his own when I read. Huh, Georgie? Do you like that? Hi, boo-boo. Good evening, everybody. How are you on this fine, Wednesday evening in Vienna? You are listening to a reading of 1001 Nights. My name is Joanna Godwin-Seidl. I run Vienna Theatre Project, from which we do the 1001 Nights readings, which we started in lockdown. And this evening, I am your host. So I hope you are all sitting very comfortably. I will keep an eye on the fire in my camera and make sure that's always burning very nicely. And otherwise, sit back, get comfortable, and I hope you enjoy tonight's reading. Tonight, I think we're going to get through 4 or 5 nights, but they're short nights, so. Okay, so without further ado, children, I hope you are all sitting very comfortably. Then let us begin. Now, when it was the 180th night, Scheherazade said, "It has reached me, O auspicious king," that Isaac of Mosul continued. Then the damsel called for food, and when it was served to her, she fell to eating, and setting it before me, and the sitting room was full of all manner of sweet, scented flowers and rare fruits, such as are ever and never found save in kings' houses. Frequently, she called for wine and drank a cup, after which she filled another and gave it to me, saying, "Now is the time for converse and storytelling." So I bethought myself and began to say, "It has reached me that such and such a thing happened, and there was a man who said so and so," till I had told her a number of pleasing tales and adventures, with which she was delighted and cried, "'Tis marvellous that a merchant should bear in memory such store of stories like these, for they are fit for kings." Quoth I had a neighbour who used to consort with kings and carouse with them. So, when he was at leisure, I visited his house, and he hath often told me what thou hast heard. Thereupon she exclaimed, "By my life, but thou hast a good memory." So we continued to converse thus, and as often as I was silent, she would begin, till in this way we passed the most part of the night, whilst the burning aloes wood diffused its fragrance, and I was in such case that if Al-Mamun had suspected it, he would have flown like a bird with longing for it. Then said she to me, "Verily, thou art one of the most pleasant of men, polished, passing, well-bred, and polite. But there lacketh one thing." "What is that?" I asked, and she answered, "If thou only knew how to sing verses to the lute." I answered, I was passionately fond of this art aforetime, But finding I had no taste for it, I abandoned it, though at times my heart yearneth after it. Indeed, I should love to sing somewhat well at this moment and fulfil my night's enjoyment. Then she, meseemeth thou hintest a wish for the lute to be brought. And I, it is thine to decide, if thou wilt so far favour me, and to thee be the thanks. So she called for a lute and sang a song in a voice whose like I had never heard, both for sweetness of tone and skill in playing and perfection of art. Then said she, knowest thou who composed this air, and whose are the words of this song? No, answered I. And she said, the words are so-and-so's, and the air is Isaac's. I asked, and hath Isaac then, may I be thy sacrifice, such a talent? She replied, bravo, bravo, Isaac. Indeed, he excelleth in this art. I rejoined, glory be to Allah, who hath given this man what he hath vouchsafed unto none other. Then she said, and how would it be, and how heard this song from himself? This wise we went on till break of day dawn, when there came to her an old woman, as she were her nurse, and said to her, verily, the time is come. So she rose in haste and said to me, keep what hath passed between us to thyself, for such meetings are in confidence. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. Now, when it was the 181st night, she said, it has reached me, O auspicious king, that the damsel whispered, keep what has passed between us to thyself, for such meetings are in confidence. And I replied, may I be thy ransom. I needed no charge to this. Then I took leave of her, and she sent a handmaid to show me the way and open the house door. So I went forth and returned to my own place, where I prayed the morning prayer and slept. Now, after a time, there came to me a messenger from Al-Mamun, so I went to him and passed the day in his company. And when the night fell, I called to my mind my yesternight's pleasure, a thing from which none but an ignoramus would abstain, and betook myself to the street, where I found the basket. And seating myself therein, was drawn up to the place in which I had passed the previous night. When the lady saw me, she said, indeed, thou hast been assiduous. And I answered, meseemeth rather that I am neglectful. Then we fell to discoursing, and passed the night as before in general conversation, and reciting verses and telling rare tales, each in turn, till daybreak. When I wended me were home, and I prayed the dawn prayer, and slept. Presently there came to me a messenger from Al-Mamun, so I went to him and spent my day with him till nightfall, when the commander of the faithful said to me, I conjure thee to sit here whilst I go out for want and come back. As soon as the Caliph was gone, and quite gone, my thoughts began to tempt and try me, and calling to mind my late delight, I recked little what might befall me from the Prince of true believers. So I sprang up, and turning my back upon the sitting room, ran to the street aforesaid, where I sat down in the basket and was drawn up as before. When the lady saw me, she said, I begin to think that thou art a sincere friend to us. Quoth I, Yea, by Allah. And quoth she, Hast thou made our house thine abiding place? I replied, May I be thy ransom. A guest claimeth guest right for 3 days, and if I return after this, ye are free to spill my blood. Then we passed the night as before, and when the time of departure drew near, I bethought me that Al-Mamun would assuredly question me, nor would ever be content save with a full explanation. So I said to her, I see thee to be of those who delight in singing. Now I have a cousin, the son of my father's brother, who is fairer than I in face, and higher of rank, and better of breeding, and he is the most intimate of Allah's creatures with Isaac. Quoth she, Art thou a parasite, and an importunate one? Quoth I, It is for thee to decide in this matter. And she, If thy cousin be as thou hast described him, it would not mislike us to make acquaintance with him. Then, as the time was come, I left her and returned to my house, but hardly had I reached it ere the Caliph's runners came down on me and carried me before him by main force and roughly enough. And Scheherazade perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. Let me just try something out, folks, to make this other piece of wood catch a bit better. It's a soft fire tonight, everybody. Let's see what happens. All right. Now, when it was the 100... Oh, I've moved this away slightly. When it was the 182nd night, she said, It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that Isaac of Mosul continued. And hardly had I reached my house ere the Caliph's runners came down upon me and carried me before him by main force and roughly enough. I found him seated on a chair, wroth with me, and he said to me, O Isaac, art thou a traitor to thine allegiance? Replied I, No, by Allah, O Commander of the Faithful. And he rejoined, What hast thou then to say? Tell me the whole truth. And I, Yes, I will, but in private. So he signed to his attendants, who withdrew to a distance, and I told him the case, adding, I promised her to bring thee. And he said, Thou didst well. Then we spent the day in our usual pleasures, but Al-Mamun's heart was taken up with her, and hardly was the appointed time come when we set out. And as we went along, I cautioned him, saying, "Look, that thou call me not by my name before her, and I will demean myself like thine attendant." And having agreed upon this, we fared forth till we came to that place where we found two baskets hanging ready. So we sat down in them and were drawn up to the usual place, where the damsel came forward and saluted us. Now, when Al-Mamun saw her, he was amazed at her beauty and loveliness, and she began to entertain him with stories and verses. Presently, she called for wine, and we fell to drinking, she paying him special attention, and he repaying her in kind. Then she took the lute and sang these verses. My lover came in at the close of night. I rose till he sat and remained upright, and said, "Sweetheart, hast thou come this hour, nor feared on the watch and ward to light?" Quoth he, the lover had cause to fear, and love deprived him of wits and fright. And when she ended her song, she said to me, "And this is thy cousin, also a merchant?" I answered, "Yes." And she said, "Indeed, ye resemble each other nearly." But when Al-Mamun had drunk 3 pints, he grew merry with wine and called out, saying, "Ho, Isaac!" And I replied, "Labaik Abtun, O Commander of the Faithful." Whereupon quoth he, "Sing me this air." Now, when the young lady learned that he was the Caliph, she withdrew to another place and disappeared. And as I had made an end of my song, Al-Mamun said to me, "See who is the master of this house." Whereupon an old lady whom hastened to make answer, saying, "It belongs to Hassan bin Sal." "Fetch him to me," said the Caliph. So she went away, and after a while, behold, in came Hassan, to whom said Al-Mamun, "Hast thou a daughter?" He said, "Yes, and her name is Khadijah." Asked the Caliph, "Is she married?" Answered Hassan, "No, by Allah." Said Al-Mamun, "Then I ask her of thee in marriage." Replied her father, "O Commander of the Faithful, she is thy handmaid, and as thy commandment." Quoth Al-Mamun, "I take her to wife at a present settlement of 30,000 dinars, which shalt receive this very morning, and when the money has been paid thee, do thou bring her to us this night." And Hassan answered, "I hear and I obey." Thereupon we went forth, and the Caliph said to me, "O Isaac, tell this story to no one." So I kept it secret till Al-Mamun's death. Surely never did man's life gather such pleasures as were mine these 4 days' time, when as I accompanied with Al-Mamun by day and Khadijah by night. And by Allah, never saw I among men the like of Al-Mamun, nor among women have I ever set eyes on the like of Khadijah. No, nor on any that came near to her in lively wit and pleasant speech, and Allah is all-knowing. But amongst stories is that of the sweep and the noblewoman. During the season of the Meccan pilgrimage, whilst the people were making circuit about the holy house and the place of compasing was crowded, behold, a man laid hold of the covering of the Kaaba and cried out from the bottom of his heart, saying, I beseech thee, O Allah, that she may once again be wroth with her husband, and that I may know her. A company of the pilgrims heard him and seized him and carried him to the emir of the pilgrims after a sufficiency of blows, and said they, O emir, we found this fellow in the holy places saying thus and thus. So the emir commanded to hang him, but he cried, O emir, I conjure thee by the virtue of the apostle, whom Allah bless and preserve, hear my story, and then do with me what and thou wilt. Quoth the emir, tell thy tale forthright. Know then, O emir, quoth the man, that I am a sweep who works in the sheep slaughterhouses and carries off the blood and the offal to the rubbish heaps outside the gates. And it came to pass, as I went along one day with my arse load, that I saw the people running away, and one of them said to me, enter this alley, lest haply they slay thee. Quoth I, what aileth the folk running away? And one of the eunuchs who was passing said to me, and this is the harem of one of the notables, and her eunuchs drive the people out of her way and beat them all without respect to persons. So I turned aside from the donkey and Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. Right, let me see if we can get this fire going again, folks. I've got another couple of chapters to go yet today. Let's see. What happened to my little... Where are my tweezers gone? Oh, all the smoke's coming out. What is wrong with our fireplace at the moment? This is live theatre. Oh, there are my tweezers. Let's see if we can't get a bit more of a burn going here, because this is a little bit rubbishy, isn't it? Going on. Oh, quite frankly, is there? Kindling yet. Let's see what happens. I give up. I shall have to complain to my props manager. I've just made it worse. Typical, isn't it? Should have left well alone, basically. Right? It will hopefully catch in a minute because I've put some kindling on there. And maybe, just maybe. again, everybody. Okay. I know, it's actually burning, but you can't see it. Hopefully the kindling will catch. And then maybe something, at some stage, something will go on. Right. So, now, when it was the 100, the 200, and I keep saying that, you know, I say so often. Hi, Tim. Hi, Yanni. Hi, Gani. I hope I just said that right. Sorry, it's really small, so I can only see your names really tinily. Good evening, everybody. It's so lovely to have you with me on this beautiful Wednesday evening here in my neck of the woods, snowy Vienna. So let us continue on with our story, shall we? Now, when it was the 283rd night. Come on, little fire. Try hard. She said, "It has reached me, O auspicious king, that," quoth the man. So I turned aside with the donkey and stood still awaiting the dispersal of the crowd. Then I saw a number of eunuchs with staves in their hands, followed by nigh 30 women slaves, and amongst them a lady as she were a willow wand or a thirsty gazelle, perfect in beauty and grace and amorous languor, and all were attending upon her. Now, when she came to the mouth of the passage where I stood, she turned right and left, and calling one of the castratos, whispered in his ear. And behold, he came up to me and laid hold of me, whilst another eunuch took my ass and made off with it. And when the spectators fled, the first eunuch bound me with a rope and dragged me after him till I knew not what to do. And the people followed us and cried out, saying, "This is not allowed of Allah. What hath this poor scavenger done that he should be bound with ropes?" And praying the eunuchs, "Have pity on him and let him go, so Allah have pity on you." And I the while said in my mind, doubtless the eunuchry seized me, because their mistress smelt the stink of offal, and it sickened her. Belike she is with child or ailing, but there is no majesty and there is no might save in Allah, the glorious, the great. So I continued on walking behind them till they stopped at the door of a great house, and entering before me brought me into a big hall. I know not how I shall describe its magnificence, furnished with the finest furniture. And the women also entered the hall, and I bound and held by the eunuchs, and saying to myself, doubtless they will torture me. Here till I die, and none know of my death. However, after a while, they carried me into a neat bathroom, leading out of the hall. And as I sat there, behold, in came 3 slave girls, who seated themselves round me and said to me, "Strip off thy rags and tatters." So I pulled off my threadbare clothes, and one of them fell a-rubbing my legs and feet, whilst another scrubbed my head, and a third shampooed my body. When they had made an end of washing me, they brought me a parcel of clothes and said to me, "Put these on." And I answered, "Well, by Allah, I know not how." So they came up to me and dressed me, laughing together at me the while, after which they brought casting bottles full of rose water and sprinkled me therewith. Then I went out with them into another saloon. By Allah, I know not how to praise its splendour, for the wealth of paintings and furniture therein. And entering it, I saw a person seated on a couch of Indian rattan. And Scheherazade perceived the dawn of day and ceased to say her permitted say. One more, folks. Now, when it was the 284th night, she said, "It has reached me, O auspicious king," that the sweep continued, "When I entered the saloon, I saw a person seated on a couch of Indian rattan with ivory feet, and before her a number of damsels. When she saw me, she rose to me and called me. So I went up to her and she seated me by her side. Then she bade her slave girls bring food, and they brought all manner of rich meats, such as I have never seen or saw before in all my life. I do not even know the names of the dishes, much less their nature. So I ate my fill, and when the dishes had been taken away and we had washed our hands, she called for fruits, which came without stay or delay, and ordered me to eat of them. When we had ended eating, she bade one of the waiting women bring the wine furniture. So they set on flagons of divers kinds of wine and burned perfumes in all the censers. What while a damsel like the moon rose and served us with wine to the sound of smitten strings. And I drank, and the lady drank, till we were seized with wine, and the whole time I doubted not but that all this was an illusion of sleep. Presently, she signed to one of the damsels to spread us a bed in such a place, which, being done, she rose and took me by the hand and led me thither, and lay down, and I lay with her till morning. And as often as I pressed her to my breast, I smelt the delicious fragrance of musk and perfumes that exhaled from her, and could not think otherwise but that I was in paradise or in the vein of fantasies of a dream. Now, when it was day, she asked me where I lodged, and I told her, in such a place. Whereupon she gave me leave to depart, handing to me a kerchief worked with gold and silver and containing somewhat tied in it, and took leave of me, saying, "Go to the bath with this." I rejoiced and said to myself, "If there be but 5 coppers here, it will buy me this day my morning meal." Then I left her, as though I was leaving paradise, returned to my poor crib, where I opened the kerchief and found in it 50 miskals of gold. So I buried them in the ground, and buying 2 farthings worth of bread and kitchen, seated me at the door and broke my fast. After which I sat pondering my case, and continued to doing so till the time of afternoon prayer, when lo, a slave girl accosted me, saying, "My mistress calleth for thee." I followed her to the house aforesaid, and after asking permission, she carried me into the lady, before whom I kissed the ground, and she commanded me to sit, and called for meat and wine, as on the previous day, after which I again lay with her all night. On the morrow, she gave me a second kerchief, with over 50 dinars therein, and I took it, and going home, buried this also. In such pleasant condition I continued 8 days running, going into her at the hour of afternoon prayer and leaving her at daybreak. But on the 8th night, as I lay with her, behold, one of her slave girls came running in and said to me, "Arise, go up into yonder closet." So I rose and went into the closet, which was over the gate, and presently I heard a great clamour and tramp of horse, and looking out of the window, which gave on the street in front of the house, I saw a young man, as he were the rising moon on the night of fullness, come riding up, attended by a number of servants and soldiers who were about him on foot. He alighted at the door, and entering the saloon, found the lady seated on the couch. So he kissed the ground before her hands, and then came up to her and kissed her hands. But she would not speak to him. However, he continued patiently to humble himself and soothe her and speak her fair, till he made his peace with her, and they lay together that night. Ah! Like magic! And Scheherazade perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. Wasn't that magic? I just finished the story and push! The lights went, the fire went up. I am finished for this evening. So if you have just joined us and you do want to watch the reading, listen to the reading, you don't have to watch it at all if you don't want to. You can, oh my goodness, you can close your eyes. Now it's verily burning bright and gorgeously. You can close your eyes and just listen to my voice if you want to. But then, of course, you'll miss the very beautiful fire. How lovely, finally. Now I get to sit back and relax and enjoy it. And I'll probably go out and get a nip of wine or something and have a little slurp of wine and a stroke of my dog, and then get ready to go to bed tonight because I'm very tired. Tiring day. Excuse me, everybody. Right, before I do go, just to remind you, we will be having a special reading on or around the 6th of February. Saman and I actually went and had dress fittings today for our special reading, which is very exciting, and I promise you we are once again going to be in some very beautiful dresses and all fairy tale princess queen looking, so befitting the book. And we're going to do it in a very beautiful hotel again, and we're very, very much looking forward to reading you on that night. So that will be on the 6th of February. And I have nothing more to say to you today. It's a full moon this evening here in our part of the world. I hope you are all having an okay time, that you're looking after yourself, work's going well, family's going well, you are going well, which is the most important thing, because you have to look after yourself always. Always look after number one, and then everything else falls into place around you. Dear friends, on those wise words, I wish you many, many blessings. I hope you have, again, a beautiful day if it's the start of your day, beautiful evening, a beautiful night, very, very, very sweet dreams. I am going to leave you, I'm going to turn off the lights a little bit and leave you with this now finally gloriously burning fire for a little bit while I go and sort some stuff out. And maybe I can, put some music on while I'm at it. So anybody who wants to just listen, anybody who wants to listen to some nice music and watch the fire for a bit, you are, of course, more than welcome to do so. See if I can move it a little bit further forward.
هم گلوی زین حدیث عاقبت سستر کنم خنده مستانه ای زین تلخی نابشرا اشک دل فریاد مستانه به نامش برکنم یاد بادا یاد بادا یاد بادا ساقیا آن روی همچو هورا آن نگاه اغلد در احمق مشهور خنده بی مثل او بر دل دکانی هم زده پهن کرده در دل و مغز و روانم تو را جستش همچو پری زیبا خرامان دلبرک چشمه کش مانند پتکی قلب عاشق را ترک لب نشان روی مهرویان همی دارد به روح گیسوان چون کمندش واصل